In the recent article, How to Be a Better Listener, the author presents a number of ways in which you, the reader, can become a better listener. In my unprofessional opinion, the author did a fairly good job at presenting what they thought were surefire ways in which to become better at listening to those around you. Like the author, I've always thought that I was a great listener. However, also like the author, there are various ways in which I can improve my listening abilities. The author's first suggestion is that we check out our assumptions. I fully agree with this point. I once heard that assumptions make an ass out of you and me, and the phrase is more than accurate. Communication is key, and both parties have to be aware of where each other is coming from in order to have a meaningful conversation. I do terribly with this. There have been many times in my life in which I've assumed something that has turned out to be wrong. I used to assume that girls didn't like me in high school. Later on in life, I would find out that I was terribly wrong. Another time in which assumptions have worked to my detriment is when I got caught smoking ganja. My parents assumed that I smoked because I was an emotionally untroubled teenager or something. They had a preconceived notion that one would only smoke because something traumatic was going on in their lives. Nope, I did it because it was fun and a huge amount of my school smoked. Regardless, the assumptions created an environment wherein productive conversation just wasn't feasible. The second point that the author makes is that we should get more curious about those that we talk to. While I've never had a special other, I can empathize with the notion that we should be curious as to why people do something. For example, my sister would always insist that I clean the dishes multiple times over and over. I was fine with the whole one and done. This annoyed me, but when I found out that it was because she was extremely germophobic, I understood. Because I had finally become curious as to why my sister cleaned dishes multiple times, I had now built a bridge of communication between her and I. I agree completely with the author's third point, which is that we should suspend judgment. Too often, people write off other people because of their quick judgments about them. In order to fully understand someone, however, you have to put away with judgments. If you can do this, you can understand on a deeper level, and you can understand them on a deeper level. And through that, you may be able to change any negative views that they have. For example, in high school, I ended up befriending a neo-Nazi. The guy had a swastika tattoo. Given my family lineage, this seemed like an unlikely coupling. However, I got to know him and understand why he was the way he was. It wasn't that he was a terrible person. It was just that he was a lower class white and he was scared, and he perceived that society was more willing to lend a hand to minorities than to whites. He felt as though he was being spit upon on a societal level. After talking with him for a year, he began to become more accepting of who I was and of other minorities. I'll never forget him stating, "Well, I guess not all Jews are bad." Even that shows a more positive trend than the one he had been on. I brought him there by suspending my judgment. I'm not sure if I agree with the author's fourth point, however, of knowing when to tap out. I find that sometimes, in a boring sort of desperation, some of the more interesting outside the box conversations can pop up. However, I do agree with cutting out when need be. Overall, I thought this was a very enjoyable article and was incredibly insightful. Thank you.